Good morning, children. I hope that you all are keeping fine there, as you all got the study material of this chapter. But today I'm going to explain this lesson in brief so that it will be easy for you all to understand it well. Okay, so let's start with our tutorial class of English Literature, class 6. The first chapter is Leaving the Valley. In this chapter, Malala Yousafzai describes her own experience. Leaving the Valley is about how Malala was attacked with the Taliban people, and with heavy heart she finally decided to leave the place for her and her family's safety. Malala was born in Mingora, which is in northwest Pakistan. She was inspired by her father, who was an educational activist, to take up the cause for girls. And she also, at an early age, began speaking about the right to education for girls. When Malala was 12 years old, the growing violence in her region forced her family to escape because of Taliban. It's an Islamic fundamentalist group who attacked Swat Valley. They began to implement many strict rules, and most importantly, at that time the girls were not allowed to get education. And for that, Malala and her family began to speak strongly and publicly against Talibanization. Leaving her home felt like her heart ripped out because that place was attached to her and her family too. Her house was surrounded by mountains, the snow topped Mount Ellen. There in Sweet Valley, she had planted an apricot tree, which she thought that it might be eaten by someone else this year. She felt that she might never see her home again, or imagine. She never thought that her school will close, but it had. She never thought that one day they would leave Sweet Valley, but they were just about to. And everyone with a heavy heart started weeping and all were crying. They knew they have to leave the place and go. After that, Malala started packing her bag, though at that time they don't have their own vehicle, so only necessary things she took. She did not take her school bag, even in which her books were there, and rest things such as school awards or photos or personal belongings she did not take with her. There was one man whose name was Dr. Afzal. He was also leaving Sweet Valley at that time, and one of her neighbors named Safina and her family were also leaving that place. So Malala and her family members were lucky to adjust in both the cars. Some of them adjusted in Dr. Afzal's car, and some of them adjusted in Safina's car. On 5th May 2009, they became an IDPS, which means internally displaced person. It sounded like a disease, but actually it means that the person who are forced to leave. Being in this situation, all of them were very much depressed. While they were going to Sangala, they saw that the streets were jam packed. There were cars everywhere, as well as rickshaws, the mule carts with lots of people with their personal belongings, and everyone was leaving that place just to save their lives. And for them, the journey was not easy because they have to face lots of problems. Finally, they left Sweet Valley behind and they reached to Martin. Later on, they were planning to go to Sangala, which is their family village. At that time, her father was not with them. He was in Peshawar, but he promised to meet them later. The next day, they met their cousin who was going to Besham, and from there they would go to Sangala. When they were going to Sangala, on the way, her grandmother started crying. Why? Because she too wanted to reach her home. But the army and their machine guns were everywhere, and also because of curfew and the checkpoints, there were no vehicle on the road. Thus, they were afraid that the army would not know them and would shoot them. After some time, they stayed in her mother's village, that is Karshat, and Malala started going to school with her cousin. She felt nice being with her cousin, but she missed her book, which she left in Sweet Valley. She kept thinking about her school bag with copies of Oliver Twist and Romeo and Juliet. Why? Because she wanted to read that book. She used to think that the happy days she and her family spent in Spate Valley. But now the situation was something else. They had been in Sangala for 6 weeks, and after that, her father said to them that now they could reach to Peshawar and the whole family was once again together, but in different place. After that, they went to Haripur, which was the fourth city in 2 months they had been. But Malala says that no matter we are now there in Haripur, but it was for far more better than those who lived in the camps, who all were queuing for food and water for hours under the hot sun. Though she missed her sweet valley because that was the place where she spent her 12th birthday, but this year there were no cake and no candles. But she wished that there would be peace in Sweet Valley once again. So while listening to her story, we feel that her life was very much inspiring, though it was difficult, but she had the courage, she had the determination, she had the willpower to do something, and she did it. As she truly said, that one should not be afraid of anyone, no matter what is the situation. She says that when the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes more powerful. So, children, let us remember Malala's word. At last, Malala says, one child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world, which she did it. So, this is the true story of Malala, who stood firm for the rights of women and girls. So, children, I hope that now you all have understood this chapter. Thank you for listening this video.